Timothy Dalton, 0007,
What?
James Bond, License to Kill. Best Bond and the best Bond movie ever. Yeah, I'm going in.
I want you to know this is nothing personal. It's purely business.
Killing me won't stop anything, Sanchez. See you in hell!
This private vendetta of yours could easily compromise Her Majesty's government.
I will say this to the end of my dying days. License to Kill is the best James Bond film ever made. I will repeat it for the people who didn't hear me in the back. License to Kill is the best James Bond movie ever made.
What?
I'm gonna tell you why. And this is just my opinion as a movie critic, as a person who loves movies. Everybody loved Sean Connery. There's no doubt in my mind. Everyone loved Roger Moore. There's no doubt in my mind. But I agree with Ian Fleming when he said his books was, especially with Roger Moore, it was kind of silly. It wasn't what his books was about.
What?
Same thing what Christopher Nolan did with Batman when he remade it. Because after Batman and Robin and Batman Forever and all that, he went back to the dark Tim Burton era, the 1989 version. Christopher Nolan took it a step up. That's what License to Kill did. The Living Daylights was doing it, don't get me wrong. He was kind of dark in Living Daylights. But Timothy Dalton as Bond in License to Kill was basically the quintessential of what Ian Fleming was talking about. That's what he wrote about. That's what he wanted. He didn't want, the Roger Moore or the Sean Connery.
What?
He didn't. He agreed to it, but later on he stated that that wasn't it. He actually even said that, and I'm not quoting him, I'm just summarizing what he said. Basically, Timothy Dalton and Daniel Craig, because Daniel Craig was dark in his movies too. A lot of people thought, he was, and he was supposed to be. Casino Royale is up there with one of my favorite Bond films. I wasn't a fan of Spectre or Skyfall or none of them, but License to Kill and Casino and all that, even GoldenEye with Pierce Brosnan, was quintessentially what Ian Fleming was looking for. And as I said before, if you don't remember, I talked about this on movies I recommended 4K. And actually, that's why I'm doing this video, because I just did the Bond theme, and I was like, let me go deep diving into another film that everyone hates. I do that kind of stuff on my channel, like The Flash, Waterworld. I go into movies that everybody hates for no damn reason.
Okay.
There's no reason to hate License to Kill, because License to Kill was the counteract as like what Die Hard was. Die Hard opened a year before, in 1988. When it was coming out, people trashed it, and it became one of the best action movies of all time. License to Kill over the years has a rep of being the catalyst of a lot of action films that you see today. They were way ahead of their time. It just didn't get any money. And I have to really question the money part, because if you use $36 to $40 million to make the whole movie, and then you get it back at the box office with $156 million, how is that a flop?
What?
Make that make sense to me. How is that a flop? That movie was a hit. It was a successful hit. And remember, secondly, Batman came out in 1989 in summer, a month before License to Kill opened in July. They had no chance.
Oh, wow.
License to Kill had no chance. But to me, you made $156 million, I guess domestically. Worldwide, I think it made a little bit more, but it was supposed to essentially make 200, 300 million, and they didn't make that, so I guess it was a flop.
What?
Are you serious? Listen, Timothy Dalton was way ahead of his time, and I'll tell you why he's way ahead of his time, because if you don't know, he was picked to be Bond before, because Roger Moore was going to leave it. Roger Moore wasn't supposed to do Octopussy and the movies that come out. It was supposed to be actually Timothy Dalton, but he was prior engaged to other, movies. And also, when they was looking for a new James Bond, they were also looking to Pierce Brosnan, Mr. Remington Steele, but he was signed to Remington Steele, so he couldn't do it. The schedule was off. Unlike what Michael J. Fox did when they got him for Back to the Future, he was still doing Family Ties, but he learned how to do that show and then do Back to the Future, and I heard he was mad tired. I heard that story. And all in all, they didn't do the Michael J. Fox thing. They was like, no, I'm dedicated to one movie or one TV show, so I'm gonna dedicate myself to that. But eventually they got Timothy and they got Pierce. Eventually they got them. And I'm sorry, I have to say this again and again. The hatred for License to Kill is overdone, like The Flash and like Waterworld. Why do people hate this film so damn much?
Nande?
And yes, I'm bitching about it. I'm ranting about it because, to me, every action role you see now is basically because of a License to Kill type movie. It takes from it all the time. It broke ground when it opened because it was a darker Bond film. Okay, the hatred that goes into how people react and how people are, because I believe that this is just fodder. You know, like 1,000 people don't like the movie, so 2,000 people add on to it, 3,000 people add on to it. For what? And the movie to me was a 10 out of 10. This is just my opinion. Maybe to some people it was 7 out of 10, it was a 5 out of 10. You know, maybe they love Roger Moore better, or Sean Connery better, or Pierce Brosnan better, or Daniel Craig better, or George Larazzie better. You know, the guy who did On the Manchi Service, if I can't pronounce his name, I'm sorry. But maybe they love him better. Who cares? This movie, to get this kind of middle finger the way they're doing it. And remember, I keep saying it, when your movie opens, when any movie opens, you don't know how it's going to do. The competition, anything, you don't know how. That's why I said with Beverly Hills Cop, I'm glad they put it on Netflix. I'm glad they streamed that, because I don't think it would have survived in the environment of this movie setting today. And when Bad Boys would have swept it out and they got Deadpool and Wolverine, it would not have survived. I'm sorry, and I stand 10 toes in that. Netflix did the right thing to stream the Eddie Murphy movie. They did the right thing. Eddie Murphy's a streaming actor. I don't think he has the right vehicle to make that comeback in the movie theaters yet. I'm sorry, he just don't. He just don't. And I believe that it's the same way with License to Kill. It just opened at a wrong time. Because when GoldenEye opened, years later with Pierce Brosnan, that was a hit. That was supposed to be his movie. A lot of people don't know that. Well, I would say some people don't know that. Some people don't know that Timothy Dalton was signed to a 3 Bond film picture deal. One was Living Daylights, which was successful. License to Kill was a flop.
What?
Okay, which again, I don't understand. 156 million, and it took only 36 million to make. How's that a flop? I can't wrap my mind around that. They made back their money and then some. What?
Wow.
I can't. But essentially, he was supposed to come back as, you know, GoldenEye. He was supposed. I don't know if it was going to call GoldenEye. I don't know that. I know Bullets and Blockbuster, that channel, I'll give them a shout out, or that dude a shout out. He does Bullets and Blockbusters, and he did that, like what should have been, you know, Timothy Dalton III's James Bond film. So I'll give him that. And you get to go watch on his channel, because I'm not gonna get into it. He knows all the nitty gritty. I'm just giving my opinion about why people hate these kind of movies, you know, and it's overdone. I don't think the hatred that a lot of people have for these movies is valid, meaning it's hearsay online. In reality, this sold on VHS, this sold over, everyone loved it. The people I grew up around, everyone loved it. They loved it because it was darker. It was about his friend who got his legs cut off, well, chomped off by a shark, by a drug dealer, you know, and, you know, they then murdered his friend's wife that he just got married to.
What?
And he James Bond's on a rampage now. His license to kill been revoked, and guess what? He ain't got nothing to lose. And then he used his skill as an agent, and he goes after a drug lord. That's beautiful, bro. That's what movie making is about, going outside the box. That nobody was doing that at that time. I'm not saying Rambo wasn't dark and the other action heroes. Like, you got Die Hard. I've said before, Die Hard had an essential impact on what License to Kill was going to look like, because it was like a PG-13, but it was like a darker tone, and I loved it. It cannot. You just, every action movie I've seen ripped off License to Kill. They ripped it off. They ripped that movie off, and then they down it, which is just disrespectful, because Ian Fleming gave his blessing to Timothy Dalton. They wanted this dude from the beginning. They gave his blessing. That's like he gave his blessing to Pierce Brosnan. He gave his blessing. He said quintessentially, you know, Dalton and Craig and Brosnan was essentially, well, Pierce Brosnan was more charismatic than most of the, you know, the Bonds I've seen, like, you know, more of like Sean Connery, but he wasn't goofy type. I don't think Roger Moore was goofy. His Bond was goofy, but it was, you know, it wasn't to me an agent that, to me, if he was in the real field, he would have got himself killed. Yeah, I said it. Roger Moore's Bond would have got himself killed. Now, Dalton's Bond and Craig's Bond would have survived anything, because they were about business. It was about business. Stay standing 10 toes in business. So I loved it. They had sex with females, but that wasn't the whole movie, you know? And I get it was the 70s and 60s, you know, love is love with Sean Connery and Roger Moore. So that era was love, you know. So they made the Bond to that era, you know? And I like how they was going to a new era. The 90s and all that was about, you know, the 80s too, with Lethal Weapon, Die Hard, Action Jackson. You know, those were movies that was like hardcore rated R. So I know that what they were doing with, you know, Timothy Dalton's Bond. And it's a shame too, because a lot of, the reason why he didn't really come back, it wasn't because he was a flop. It was because he got caught up in a lot of lawsuits. Not him per se, but the Bond film entirety. Ian Fleming, all of them got caught up in lawsuits. I don't know the lawsuits. I didn't research that. I think both some blockbusters on them cover that. There's a lot of chance I cover that about License to Kill. But I'm just here to state my opinion as a movie head, as a movie fan, as a person who spent 85 to 9% of his life sitting on a chair on a couch watching movies, that I fully recommend anyone who did not see License to Kill, please rent it, because it's in 4K. That's what I loved about it. It's in 4K, and you could get it separately. You're a physical media kind of person, well, you could get that separately too. You don't like Living Daylights, you don't want to get the whole, because they usually sell it together, the Timothy Dalton, and they sell the Roger Moores, the Sean Connerys, they sell their films by themselves. So if you don't like the Living Daylights, which I like, I gave that movie an 8 out of 10. But License to Kill, you can just get that by itself in physical media. It's beautiful, bro. If you have not seen it, please see it. Please see what every action movie is copying right now. That's what I'm saying. Just go see it. Because again, critics have their way of getting to you, and I'm part of that. I listen to too much critics too. This movie, and it missed out on me. It really did. Okay, one of the movies I said before was back in the days was Marathon Man, and the 70s film. I always thought it was only Godfather and Shaft, and maybe Dirty Harry. But I missed out on. I wasn't born in that era. I was born in the late 80s, guys. But I didn't give a lot of films chances because critics said so. No, this is stupid. It's dumb. Because Siskel, Ebert, and Roger, back in the 80s and early 70s said that movie sucked. I remember I did the same thing with Star Trek because I heard someone say, and now I'm a Trekkie because those films are so essentially beautiful. I always tell people, stop listening to people and judgment and do the homework yourself. Go watch the movie yourself. Don't listen to 90% of Rotten Tomatoes, it was garbage. Who cares? You don't know. Like I said before, when I did the same thing with Waterworld. When I saw it for the first time, I was blown away. I said, "Oh, this is like Mad Max on water." It's like Mad Max on water. Yeah, give the film a chance.